The national foreign exchange reserve. Those of us who grew up those days when we were grandad, Bank of Uganda is essentially a grandfather or a grandmother who owns a granary for a family. So these funds will go to reserves, but these are national reserves. And that's what these national reserves are used for, essentially two purposes, if not three. One is when there are deficits, when there are deficits in the balance of payments, which destabilize the economy, then these reserves are withdrawn for the benefit of the economy. If there are pressures, especially on the fiscal side, that need to be, for example, the expenditure that needs to be externalized. These reserves, this is the work of these reserves, to limit that pressure. It's not for Bank of Uganda. So, definitely, Uganda needs foreign exchange reserves, and the reserves are for Uganda, not for Bank of Uganda. The reserves will not be lent directly. Bank of Uganda does not lend directly to the private sector, but to be used for stabilizing the market where the private sector is an active participant. But maybe to go back a bit, we also remember that those of us who are old, though Uganda is a youthful population, but those of us who are old enough to understand in the 1990s, we all remember that Bank of Uganda operated development finance schemes. And this economy definitely benefited a lot from these development finance schemes. And I remember around 2000, a decision was made by the government of Uganda. And that decision was that there's expertise in development finance in Uganda Development Bank. And these schemes were transferred to Uganda Development Bank. The argument at that time was that we should reap the efficiency gains of specializing, of institutions specializing in activities that they have expertise in. And that's why these funds were transferred to you. So Bank of Uganda has not led the private sector, but will ensure that there's stability in the foreign market. For example, if the shilling depreciates rapidly, for example, that rapid depreciation of the shilling will have implications for both the private sector and government. Even the budget we're talking about, it has implications for that. Because that budget, the foreign exchange, the allocation for the for so government people and so forth, the allocation for what externalized will not be sufficient to serve that purpose. So that's what I was saying. Bank of Uganda needs stability in the foreign exchange market for the benefit of the economy. And I can give another example. In March this year, during that once I started to realize the initial impact of the COVID, remember the shilling depreciated. The shilling depreciated, I think, from around 3,600 to about 3,900 in 3 weeks' time. What Bank of Uganda did that time was to go into that granary of foreign exchange reserves, get withdraw reserves from that granary and sell to the market. During those 3 weeks, Bank of Uganda sold $200 million to the market to stabilize the market. That is why we need these reserves, not for Bank of Uganda issues, And then there was an issue that related to capitalization. I think there's some short note there about capitalization. Issues for capitalization. But you note that this is a loan. This is an interest-free loan. This interest-free loan is coming to the national reserves. It's an interest-free loan with a grace period of 5.5 years. So it's coming to the national reserves. After the grace period, we have to pay back to the funds. So we have to pay back to the fund. And the payment will come from the reserves. So I think those are the key reasons why we think Uganda as a country needs balance of payment support for the benefit of the private sector. Because you see, look at the balance of payments, about 80% of so, 80% or so is actually the private sector. So we need that balance of payment support for the benefit of the private sector. And I think the other issue we need, which is in the report, is also that if the shilling depreciates rapidly, that rapid depreciation will feed through to domestic inflation. The low inflation we had over the last 36 months or so is largely attributed to stability in the foreign exchange market. For example, the shilling has, on average, from 2018, the shilling has depreciated by just about 2%.
We have you considered controversial regarding the liberalization? Because now we face a bigger problem. Come December, the telecom companies are going to come out and wipe out all the foreign reserves we have. Because while the COVID is on, they are busy making money. And they want to calculate this money to put there. And because you have a liberal policy, they will buy all that they need. And it's going to be in the initial circle. They are trying to build, and then there are those who are going to do all of this. And what makes it worse is that our imports are low, are going to continue low, until was indicated until the third quarter of next year. There are no FDIs coming in. So really, I don't know whether you have looked at that. Look at that seriously. Colleagues, you can now make your supplementary comments.
And how are we sure that even this money they are asking for, which is much more than we had refused earlier on, is not going again to be raided by the same group? Because they are still the same managers, they are still the same people in charge. How are we sure? And the same UDB people. No. Sorry. The same BOU people. Sorry. Madam Chair, I don't know whether you want our additional comment to be limited to just BOU.
BOU part.
Yeah. So me, that's what I want to get in very simple terms. How did we come to this, and how are we sure that if we give you more money, again you won't be coming back after year? Because you have been in this situation even before COVID, but now you're using COVID to come and bombard us with such proposals and requests.
I think you have experienced the first part.
No. How they did it? You see, causes can be there, but how did we come to this?
Before COVID.
And in simple terms, Chair, not a lecture. They hide, Rujai. They hide behind the lectures. The wrong thing you get for.
We have only three issues. One, how much have we saved? Because before COVID, we had a budget which was running. It is on record that most of the sectors have saved the money. That's
BOU. BOU.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Chair, then we. Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to appreciate the presentation, which to some people is new because not all of us did economics, but I was an economics student in Makerere, and I do appreciate the value in understanding why we are seeking foreign support to try to balance the economy. Now, Madam Chair, I do support the loan, but I have fears in as far as our preparedness is concerned. Bank of Uganda needs to assure us, first of all, they need to come clean on the status of the bank in as far as the balance of payments is concerned. Because this COVID has exposed us. It's actually a moment of reality now where you cannot hide anywhere. So can they tell us the true picture of the bank in as far as the Forex is concerned? And secondly, what strength do they have? Should we be able, should we get this money to be able to address the fears for which we are getting this money? Because we risk getting this money and putting it in a bottomless pit, like it has happened before, because it's not the first time we are approving budget support loan for Bank of Uganda. Now this in itself is, as Honorable Taibu has said, is a huge loan. So can we get assurance that this money, if approved by this committee and Parliament eventually, will not end up in a bottomless pit where we'll again come back to lament, because COVID is not about to go away. So can we get that assurance? Bank of Uganda, they are the ones who need the money.
The principle of getting the loan, or the principle of economics. The issue is assurance of capability and management. Because we raised so many issues yesterday, our biggest issue are fears in the manner in which Bank of Uganda has handled itself in the past. You have even been keeping some agricultural loans. No Ugandan knew, no Ugandan could access it except for a selected few. The biggest fear is, how can you convince this committee that you will effectively perform and deliver to Ugandans, not just this group who always rate, they have the access, but how do we reach out? What structures do you have in place to reach out to the broader group, to the masses? Not just a selected few that you have been dealing with, because you have had cases, and I've given you that example of agriculture. So this is not a matter of principle of economics. We do agree with the principles. That's why we accept the loan. But our biggest fear is the manner in which you manage yourself. Yesterday we asked some questions, really also to reassure us. Recently, there were monies being printed. There were investigations going on. What has happened? Yes. So what has happened? So, but Madam Chair, me my strongest view is that yes, we need this loan, but the placement of this loan is my biggest worry.
Madam Chair, I want to compliment
issue of recapitalization of Bank of Uganda. In the last budget, we recapitalized Bank of Uganda with 200 billion. In the figures we have just passed for the coming budget, 2021, there is a figure of 491 billion shillings as recapitalization of Bank of Uganda. You are now asking for a loan of $340 million, and this will go into trillions of Uganda shillings, again as recapitalization of Bank of Uganda. What happened, or what has been happening? Who has been depleting this money which we put into Bank of Uganda now and again for us to require a further loan of 1.3 trillion? Surely. I was talking to one economist and he told me, you know what Bank of Uganda is doing? It's like when you have no money and you say, give me some money, it remains in my pocket.
Lend me and I pay.
Lend me, it remains in my pocket so that I can also have some money. Where is the transparency of management at Bank of Uganda? I remember the parliamentary committee, Kwasase, made a lot of recommendations, and one of them is in the governance, where the board of Bank of Uganda is fused with management. At one point, one is a governor. At another point, he changes chair and becomes a board chairperson. He goes with his deputy for all those two functions. So who is checking who in terms of governance? Honorable Minister of Finance, when are you bringing an amendment so that we stop that hemorrhage, that fuse, or that fusion? Even with the Minister of Finance, I think. There are many Kosase reports, recommendations. The minister needs to come clear and clean and tell us that we have already implemented this, or we are in the process of, before this loan is approved in form of a treasury memorandum. The director there told us of development finance schemes that benefited the economy in the past. It is true. Actually, this money, instead of going the way you want it as balance of payments, why don't you give it to these schemes, to Uganda Development Bank?
Yeah.
Because the effects of COVID, I don't know who has even assessed them yet. Because we asked the Minister of Finance to bring us the effects of the COVID as of now for 1.5 months. Yesterday they gave us a paper, and it was just an overview. So who has told you that these effects will affect this way or that way? Where is the baseline of those effects? And what is the comprehensive plan on how you are going to address those effects? Other than borrowing money to keep it there and say, in the case of this, we shall benefit and it's very clear, it benefits the economy. It does not say it benefits the private sector. Actually, the private sector, in countries where there's COVID now, the private sector is being supported directly. People are getting grants from government, resuscitate the economies. I know that one of the effects will be the collapse of businesses in the country. Companies have already wound up. You have had so many airlines. So are you going to tell us you are going to put this money in Uganda Airline? I don't know whether it is still alive. And you have not told us which companies that have not yet collapsed. So, Madam Chair, well, this loan may be desirable. The Bank of Uganda is not ready at this time. And I think it should be restructured to address the real COVID issues. Collapsing companies, hotels have closed. The other day they told us the tourism sector has already lost 1.3 billion. That is head of state. Told 1.6 billion. How are you going to put this money to resuscitate the tourism sector? Which tourism sector generates money for this country? So, Madam Chair, for the time being, I'll stop there. But we need good answers, direct answers, not
the model that the director has been telling us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair.
It's spoiling the omelet.
For me, I left my economics knowledge in A levels, but at the same time, what I left in A levels, I use it to do my legal work. So, from what I see, the presentation before us, I find that Bank of Uganda have demonstrated to us that there is a decline in balance of payments. And whenever there is a decline in balance of payments, then the reserves will also decline. And the gentleman, Mr. Polot, or Professor Polot, has demonstrated that they need this loan. In processing what is before us, I find that the loan is justified. The only thing I would add is what my friends are requesting for, guarantees and assurances that there will be a change in the management of Bank of Uganda. But other than that, I'll put my signature to this loan. We have to look at what I said. I will. Okay, thank you for supporting me. Can I talk? Can I finish? I'm talking as a member of parliament from Kaviramaido, and by a little extension with some relation in Kabale. But yes, let us look at what is before us and then ask Bank of Uganda to address those others. And what they are supposed to address does not only lie with this committee, it's bigger than that. So we have given you, or we are cheating the exam for you to go and correct what you are supposed to do. But also some of the corrections or some of the governance issues is beyond this table. And all of us should join and say, let Bank of Uganda be restructured.
Then you can give them money.
No, we give them money to restructure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, for me, I join Honorable Taebwa and others.
And me.
In requesting to know the depletion of this reserve. When Bank of Uganda was presenting, is telling us the source of income of Bank of Uganda and how it is spent. I see the reserves, and then there's a recapitalization. Those are how they get the inflows into Bank of Uganda. Then the outflows is you use that money for controlling when there's a negative, when exports are more than, the imports are more than the export, that difference. And then also for controlling inflation and exchange rate. I think the problem here is that it has not been clear. I thought we would make it very simple. This was the position of the reserve. This is how much we receive for capitalization. And this is how we spent. We spent in inflation, to control inflation, this amount. This figure went for the BOP deficit. We needed to know this kind. And for example, at present, what is the position? What is the position of the reserve as we talk now? And then also to tell us, we are estimating that because of COVID, we need this amount. We are estimating that there is going to be depletion in the reserve by this amount. So that it is very simple. It is just accounting. The inflows and the outflows and the balance, and then what do we need, especially when we take into consideration the question of the COVID which is coming and other macroeconomic challenges that we are going to have as a result of this COVID. So that it becomes clear, and then we say, yes, go ahead, and we give. Everybody supports this Bank of Uganda.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Expenditure, balance,
Madam
what else
Chair,
do we need?
a few
They
areas
have
about three areas
demonstrated,
for which
if
I
you
need
look
some,
at these tables,
Maybe
and
this
this
combination.
one, yeah.
Makes it simple.
one,
Should make it very simple.
I am
Yeah,
looking at
just
the
remind
current
us of
account balance
Professor. He doesn't.
and with specific focus on total exports vis-a-vis total imports. And I want to agree with the presenter that we seem to be living beyond our means, because we spend almost twice on imports than we do on exports. But Madam Chair, one thing I want to get clear is that when we borrow,
How did we arrive at this figure? We are borrowing.
how does this help us live within our means?
The figure we are borrowing.
Yes.
I want to know
You'll read the
whether we can borrow and use the borrowing to promote our
Not here.
productivity so that we are able to export more.
The
Or in the
can look
alternative,
down.
how is borrowing a solution to this problem? Will borrowing help us improve exports? Secondly, Madam Chair, on the impact of COVID-19 on balance of payment. Of course, we are trying to look at the undesirable effects of worsening Uganda's external position. But we should also know that COVID-19 is a global pandemic. So when we are looking at the undesirable effects on Uganda's external position, we should not forget that there are similar effects on other economies as well, globally. So if we are to use comparative analysis, Madam Chair, my thinking is that we might end up balancing out. So we should not think that Uganda will be in a worse position than other economies, because other economies are suffering as well. So I wanted to know from him whether you have tried to make such a comparative analysis to come up with this position you are giving on Uganda. And lastly, Chair, like my colleagues said, almost every year, every financial year, we have been recapitalizing Bank of Uganda. And my expectation would be that Bank of Uganda should be able to sustain balance of payment, at least for a period of time. But Madam Chair, COVID-19 broke out in March this year. It is barely 3 months. This is May. What are your projections? Because already you are asking for balance of payment support in trillions, just 3 months. Could you be having some other projections that you haven't informed this committee so that we get to know? And Madam Chair, issues of oversight to Bank of Uganda is a very pertinent issue. You know, they just come and talk about deficits, they talk about whatever. I do not know how the Committee of Parliament can provide oversight to Bank of Uganda. But I think the issues raised by members are very credible issues. And Bank of Uganda needs to convince this committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Then why do you talk?
Don't need to control
He doesn't support loans.
Not until I get some clarity on the following. This loan that we are talking about is going to be spent in the financial year 2019-2020.
2020, 2021.
The document we have. So, I was wondering, I need more clarity on how this loan will be spent in this financial year, as the papers are showing. Secondly, he has concentrated on Forex, and I'm very sure when we are given this loan, it is drawn and it is turned into shilling. Where do we keep this money as far as Bank of Uganda is concerned? I would propose that if we are borrowing money to support the economy and they are channeling this money maybe to UDC, ADB, we would be moving together. But picking money in this, honestly, I don't support it. I would be very comfortable to support a loan through Bank of Uganda or another entity when this money is going to support the economy through our government entities as far as our economy is concerned. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
I'll give the second.
Okay. Madam Chairperson, COVID-19 is a recent occurrence. It is hardly 6 months, roughly.
Under 3 months.
Yeah. But our economy has been on the downward. According to the figures. Those are not my statement. These figures are not mine. This Ugandan economy, impressive growth rates notwithstanding, the economy, according to the figures, has been on the downward trend. And I'm just making these remarks on the basis of these figures. Before we attack COVID, the economy has been on
the dive. That's the word.
Let me make my remarks. Madam Chairperson, with all the honesty, that has been my observation.
Point of.
Simply with the very basic, rudimentary.
Kept telling us
we're okay.
about the use of SC where they have been before. I think our SC is a bit high.
The microphone.
So,
But honorable colleagues, I will insist me for rushing because we have got 6 agencies to hear from today. And that's why we have got a very
Madam, let me be very, very brief.
summarize as much as possible.
So really, when we are told that we are living beyond our means, yes, the situation, you get out of these buildings and you see, it is very, very clear. You just get figures from Uganda Revenue Authority that the imports have been far in excess. In excess, you don't need to have gone in the university classroom to see. The figures are there. That the imports of this country for a long time
have been far in excess of what we.
For 30 years.
I don't politicize this thing when you start saying
to fight for what?
So, leaving our means is a statement from a very
knowledgeable,
senior and qualified government official from a central bank, but that has been the situation. And Madam, just two more remarks. Because if Ugandan society, Uganda as a country, we are basically a consumption-driven society. That's why you see more Wampenkon is on the street. I have a colleague I had in Sandhurst who retired from the British Army. He comes here regularly. He sees these vehicles and he says, "You guys, what's it? How do you make it? The latest Land Cruisers from the capitalist world are found in Uganda." So, leaving our means. Now, my last statement, Madam Chairperson, why can't our planners, as Honorable Kajara has said and other colleagues, really come out with an empirical document, well researched with figures to tell us the situation, to tell the country, through their representatives who are here, where we are heading, and make propositions how we can handle a situation that is already running out of hand, of course exacerbated by the disease. We should not be beggars to ask that question from our planners. So what should we do?
They should even sign the documents that they give us.
Madam Chair, thank you. No, just a few words. I'm waiting to hear from my minister to mention two words, at least 2 or 3. The word recess, that our economy is in recession, and then the economic stimuli to the economy. Those two. Yes, the resurrection. Those two. And then we move on.
You have gone.
To the Minister of Finance. I remember when we were in the Bank of Uganda. When we try to insist to know more about the operations, where we put the governors, the chairman, the board,
Because of 400 million shillings.
we got tied up because we were even asking, is the money which is returned spent by districts or government? Can you show us in Bank of Uganda books that this is the money was? He told us, actually there was a doctor, an advisor, governor, who told us, we cannot give you that information. For you, you are wasting time asking us to bank. The Act of Bank of Uganda is very clear. You have no role on oversight. We cannot give you information. It's all I think the head of state or something. Now, what I'm saying is, this money which we want to give to Bank of Uganda, we are going to get another money. So my question is, how do we ensure that this money we are borrowing?
Information.
Okay. Now, I just want to help my I think what Bank of Uganda is the part is just mentality. I remember when I was here, I explained the same thing. That the governor and his team did not want to work here for us. But we worked over our rules. And from that time, they have been coming to Parliament. But initially before, they were using the mentality. No. So the law does not absolutely exclude them. There are other laws.
Okay, Honorable Police, can you conclude, please?
Yeah, I think, Chair, that is the position I'm asking, that the Minister of Finance to tell us how do we handle such an institution where we are going to give money, they are not answerable to anybody, apart, I think, from the president of Uganda. Thank you.
As part of the aquatic facility, what is happening to that facility? You talked about DFIs being transferred to Bank of Uganda a long time ago. And I remember that time I was to UDP, I was in UDP. But those DFIs were transferred without conventional funds. And UDP had a very difficult time. They did their best, but they were not getting outright funds. So agricultural facility. We are looking at agriculture because it is the biggest employer of our people. And we always say it's the backbone of our economy, though it doesn't contribute as much as what is commensurate to the number of people they employ. We would like to know about that fund. Isn't it time yet to transfer that money to UDB? To UDB, work out modalities, because it was supposed to be a matching fund where government puts a certain sum of money and the commercial banks put up a matching fund to support agriculture. People are complaining it is inaccessible except for a few people, and the commercial banks don't seem to be enthusiastic to participate in that arrangement. Can you compare them, since we lack appropriate agriculture funding? And the intentions behind that fund was to put on market funds for agriculture at affordable interest rates. That's why we said to put their 50% government money at 0 interest rate, and we combine with the 50% from the commercial banks, and we get the average of the commercial bank rates. I would like you to say something about that fund. But I don't know, Dr. Plot, as you have heard, there are quite a number of issues which require clarity. And you know, with us politicians, we always want to move quickly because we always have always have excesses on our hands. So I'll request you to respond to those issues briefly, in summary, and where you cannot provide adequate answers, if you can come back with written explanations. Thank you.
For the Dr. Obrot, who was my lecturer, as I said yesterday.
And you are his boss now. And you are his boss now.
Response. Yes, I wanted to state that the loan of IMF, which is 491.5 million, is meant to do two things. The first one, part of the 491, we are taking off 340 million, as Dr. Prot has said, and in simple terms, to put in our reserves to cushion our foreign exchange fluctuation, and also try to cushion price increase and what we call inflation. So basically, that's what the loan is going to do. And he has shown the position of our reserves. And the words he has used do not really reflect the position of our economy. It is true that our imports are more than our exports. And as you saw yesterday in our overview statement of our economy, that's now going to be our focus. And His Excellency the President has been talking about, and that's our focus: import substitution and export promotion. So the 340, in simple terms, is to be put in our reserves. It is interest-free. We are not paying interest on this loan. For 5 years, a grace period of 5 years. He has told you just in 1 week of COVID, our foreign exchange depreciated from 360 to 390. Now, there are so many unknowns in this war against COVID. The Minister of Health is here. There are so many unknowns. It could end in a few months.
You know why I wonder about it? It's because Casanova disease found a weak patient with no immunity. The patient in this case is the economy.
Yeah, but Senior Guma, okay. So, for record purposes, out of the 491.5 million US dollars, 340 is going to be put in our reserves. It's an interest-free loan to cushion the fluctuations of the exchange rate. Dr. Oporot has told you that just in 1 week of the COVID pandemic, our exchange rate fluctuated from 306,000 per dollar to 309 per dollar. That's a big change just in 1 week. Now, it's around 7% in 1 week. So what they did, the central bank had to invest 200 million US dollars to stabilize this exchange rate. Now, as I was saying, there are so many unknowns in this global war, and we are not alone. The pandemic might end in a few months, it might end in years. We need to prepare to be sure that we are ready in case of the worst case scenario. So this loan is going to be put in our reserves.
No,
it has no interest.
Madam Chair, I think the minister is taking us back. The issue members are concerned about is the elements of management.
I was coming to that.
Yes, because you are debating that because this is just not about health. You've seen what is happening between China and the United States. You know that financial emerging interest of China. So if you are just going to live in history, you will be off. So our major concern in this committee today is about the recklessness, let me put it like this, of Bank of Uganda. Even as the chairperson said, what about the other agricultural credit which they have been having? So the principle is agreed, but we want assurance.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I don't know how we shall continue to maneuver through this committee, because when I was speaking, I saw some people were listening attentively. Then Honorable Reagan is saying, no, I'm off the...
You know how Parliament proceeds.
Yes.
You cannot just lecture after local MC1 and expect to go away with it.
So, the other issue, which members have raised is the issue of governance. It is true that the Select Committee of Parliament investigated the operations of Central Bank, and the government is working on the white paper to take action on the recommendations of Parliament, and we shall come back to the House with a Treasury memorandum answering what we did on each recommendation.
How soon?
No, these are really urgent issues. You cannot now. Yeah, the structural.
This is the ventilator.
Yeah, the structural adjustments we are going to make in the central bank cannot happen in 1 week or 1 month. It will take some time. So to tie it, I beg members to tie it on the approval of this loan would really be extending the period for. There is an issue. There is an issue of the agricultural facility, which now stands at 125 billion. It's a revolving fund, and at the same time a matching facility. So we take note that you would actually want, if this money can be probably, because already in the hands of some people, and we can send a full list. Actually, we have done it twice to this house. There's a time the house requested for it, we submitted to the house. We can send a current list of who benefited from the agricultural facility, and then you take you look at it. But we take note of your recommendation that maybe this can be shifted from from the central bank and be put in one area, like for example, UDB. I think those were we think that we have given sufficient information about the central bank and the reason why we need this facility. It is true that our imports are more than our exports, and that's going to be the focus. That's the focus of our
But the
new
repatriation, what do you think about the repatriation? We are
repatriation.
told that at the end of the year, the telecom companies repatriate a lot of dollars
Yeah, one of the things that we have
without
done,
limitation.
one of the new changes we have put in place is to require these companies to float their shares on our stock exchange so that people can invest in them and own part of this. As you know, Honorable Chair and members, we are running a liberal economy. It's a liberal economy. And you have got to be a little bit cautious to make policy reversal in a very short time. So as the initial stage, we are requiring now all the foreign companies that are investing here to float their shares on the market so that Ugandans can own part of this. So that's one of the stages that we are making. So now, when you take away 791,340, we remain, because the two loans is 300 and 491, take away 740, we remain with 451.5 million as part of this budget support. Because the World Bank is 300 plus 491.5. So the 451.5 million is basically going to fund the budget support as a result of two things. The first one is the revenue shortage. And after the Minister of Health, because she said she wants to, with your permission, she can make a presentation, and then we look at the budget, the shortfall, and also the efforts to address additional requirements out of COVID, mainly health requirements and other issues in the economy. For example, the issues I've been raising, we told you that we are mobilizing resources, and this part of it to inject 1 trillion in UDB. And for part of this loan, 120 million, which is an equivalent of close to 100 or 500 billion, is going to go to UDB. We also have some resources that we are mobilizing to put in UDC and microfinance. That's why Honorable Reagan and others were asking, how do my people up country access this? So want to put more money in microfinance, because microfinance is the one that can now link with the credit and saving schemes at the village level and that. So,
and that's good, Honorable Minister. And the way you've really emphasized it, you're just putting 10 billion only. That's our point of quotation. Microfinance Support Center. If you look at the support we have in this country.
Honorable Thomas, can you please give him a chance to complete his submission? Allow him please to complete his submission.
We wanted a clarification whether it would hurt Bank of Uganda if we subtracted part of this money, 340 million, and give it to UDC, give it to Microfinance Support Center, and give it to UDC, because these are direct beneficiaries to the economy. So you remain with about 200, 140.
Where are they going? All of them want to.
So, Honorable Minister, you have more or less said it. If you can
Yes. So I think the question is what members are saying, out of the 340 million US dollars, can we make adjustments to address the issues of microfinance, UDC, and UDB?
As part of the stimulus.
As part of the stimulus. Okay, we can.
I think, Madam Chair, it's not politics.
No.
I think, Madam Chair, you know, I don't know whether the minister understands the structure of our economy. Because even the Microfinance Support Center is limited. It's limited. But our people can be able to access something if they are clearly aware it is in UDP. They can, but because even this microfinance is just structured within your ministry. I am told there's a minister in charge of my microfinance, but how far does that microfinance go? Who do they link up with? It is again what I have always referred to as a class interest struggle. It belongs to the middle class. It does not belong to the ordinary people. And our concern is, let's not focus on the middle class only.
Yes, in fact, microfinance.
But colleagues, why don't we state the question regarding
Madam Chair, the information I'm giving Honorable Regan is to the effect that if you want an institution that can reach the local people in this kind of arrangement, it's microfinance. They go down to the rural communities, and we are talking about an effect that has affected even people down there. We are not only talking about the middle class. So in the structure that we are looking at, microfinance support center is one such structure. We need to consider very clearly.
Information.
For SMEs.
Yes.
And when you find
Madam Chair.
those two agencies, Microfinance Support Center and UDP, have got a lot of potential to attract funding, provided government shows commitment by putting in sufficient money. UDP, there are many lenders who want to lend them money, but they are saying the owner has not shown sufficient commitment. He has not shown sufficient interest. If you could take opportunity of this to renew government commitment into UDP and the Microfinance Center as a way of catalyzing other funds from outside to beef up what you have.
Honorable Minister,
Thank you,
Honorable Chair, if, for example, we can agree to make it very easy, the Minister tells us, is it possible to raise the money put in Microfinance Support Center in this fund from 10 billion to 50 billion?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Let's put it on the table, but allow them some time to see how they handle it.
Madam Chair.
It is clear we want funding for microfinance and UDP. Can you find it out of this? And if so, how much can you find? But they need time. Manange, let's be orderly. Let's be orderly, please. Damzu, hold on. Let's be orderly. And if government accepts that they can find money, why don't you allow them time, maybe one day to come up and give us? Because if we rush them to make their guesses here,
That's the information. Madam Chair, information. Thank you very much. I would also chip in for UDC, because I've seen UDC partnering with some private companies, supporting local companies in exports and what. This also, I'm very sure, because I remember the money which is put in UDC goes, government puts money in UDC, and UDC gets shares in certain companies, in those companies at a certain level. I've seen that in Akiak and others. I think as we move in this, I think we'd also look at UDC.
Procedure. Madam Chair, I've seen a team from UDC, I've seen a team from UDC. Why can't we give them opportunity? Other than for us to tell them what to do.
That's what I had suggested earlier. And that's why I requested time for the minister and his team to consider our proposals. So can you summarize, please?
I had already summarized. I said that part of the remaining resources, the 451.5, is to cater for the revenue shortfall in our budget, additional requirements out of this COVID pandemic, namely to support the health sector support other institutions that will help us to stabilize and stimulate the economy, UDB, UDC, and microfinance. Those are the areas. So with your permission, Madam Chair, you had requested to get a presentation from the Minister of Health. How much have you received and what have you used for and what is the pressure? So I will request the Minister of Health now to talk about the health sector, and then after that we can go to revenue shortage and these other institutions. In a few minutes we should be able to give you all the information you need.
Okay, but I think so far where we are more or less agreed that there is need for funding. I think nobody is in dispute of that. With Bank of Uganda, the issues which have come up, legal, governance, and also more clarity on how the money is going to be applied. I think that's where the depletion or how the management of the reserves, those are part of governance issues. So I think we're more or less dealt with Bank of Uganda for now.
Yeah.
So now, since the Minister of Health is in a hurry, I'll give her an opportunity to present. But before she does so, allow me really to, I don't know, congratulate or to thank her team for really a job well done. We know it's the struggle continues, but it continues, but it continues, but it continues, but it continues.